Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news. And welcome back to another edition of Issues in Education. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight the issues impacting the classroom with Dr. Ralph Kerr at the Teaching and Learning Institute. Ralph, got one question before we get started. Has it stopped snowing yet?
Well, where I am, it stopped the end of last week.
Okay.
But I'm glad I'm not in the Buffalo area.
That lake effect is something else. I know, having gone to college there, once in a while we'd get in on the action. But it is a winter wonderland for sure in Western New York. Ralph, breaking news late last week, the New York State Education Department has given schools in the state until the end of the year to drop their Native American mascot. The only schools that will be allowed to keep the mascot is those that get written permission from a recognized tribe. Your reaction to that ruling from the State Education Department?
I have to tell you, my biggest concern is about the learning loss that students have experienced over the last couple of years. I'm also looking at teacher and bus driver shortages. It's hard for me to believe that the State Education Department would have the priority to want districts to get rid of their Native American mascots. It's just ridiculous. It really is. Maybe I missed it, but I haven't heard many Native Americans complaining about schools having mascots, honoring them, and I take it that most of them think it is an honor, and I believe it is. So it's just, in my opinion, just a ridiculous effort when there are so many other important things that schools need to be dealing with.
Yeah, cancel culture there for sure at work.
Absolutely.
And last check, I think over 50 districts are now forced to make that change before the end of the year. So moving on, Ralph, of course, President Biden's college loan wipeout plan, that's run into some turbulence. A couple of courts have blocked the bailout. What's the latest on this, and will those checks ever arrive in the mail?
Well, I hope that not too many of the 26 million that have applied are really counting on it. The cost here is $400 billion with a B, billion dollars. There's a federal judge in Texas that has stricken the whole thing for now. I think the president probably will go back to the Supreme Court. But I think this was a get your vote plan that obviously worked. And I think now it's going to be a loser. And ultimately, the people who owe all this money are going to have to begin to make the payments again.
The bill's due. It's coming up, so pay up. The former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos had a tweet that I thought was pretty memorable. She was responding to an NEA comment that, and here's the comment, educators know better than anyone else what kids need. DeVos tweeted, "You misspelled parents." I love it. How did, and I know back on Election Day, there were several school board elections as well. How did parents' rights groups fare during the vote on Election Day?
Well, parents' rights groups fared really, really well. I think overall parents are just fed up with all of this stuff, and I loved Betsy DeVos's tweet as well. It's a really cute way of saying you people are so far from the reality. It's really too bad. But I would encourage our listeners today to talk to your local Board of Education members and find out where they are on the whole gender identity policies. Just the other day, I had a call from an area board member asking me for some guidance on this because most districts want to look at the policies that they have and rewrite them in what I consider to be a really bad way because they tend to go towards anti-parent and more in the area of what the NEA official said, that they think that educators know better than anyone else what kids need. I would hope that parents would stand up and continue to stand up and support their children in this.
All right, that'll have to be the last word this week. Ralph, our last broadcast before the big dinner feast on Thursday. Wishing you and yours all the best this Thanksgiving season. We have so much to be thankful for. Ralph, you mentioned school boards, and it's not too much longer before people people who want to run for their local school board, they need to start having that conversation. You have information on your website about how you can get started in doing that. If you would, tell us what that is.
Yeah, that's really true. Let me just say also, Bob, happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners. Wish you all of God's best. They can certainly go to yrun.org, yrun.org.